Oh my God, we're not ready. OpenClaw is some black magic sorcery that is dope as hell, but it's becoming more obvious that like you, me, 99% of the population is categorically not equipped to hand over root level, god tier, ruin my life permissions to a pile of code that we don't understand. People are out here literally handing the keys to their entire digital existence, being like, have at it, Haas, and then like, please don't text my mother-in-law. It's insanity. Take a couple minutes to look it up. There's one story that's awesome where one agent negotiated $4,200 off a used car sale. On the other side, there's an agent that like carpet bombed this guy's entire contact list with 500 unsolicited SMS messages. You're like one glitch away from buying a Honda Civic. Unquestionably, what it can do is awesome, but on the other side of the coin, equal and opposite. It can be just as devastating. So before you let open source Skynet burn through your API credits and potentially ruin your social life, I'm going to show you what I did instead. I took the best parts of OpenClaw, like the spirit of it, and I used it as a schematic, right? Like I strapped it to a workbench and then I can just pick and choose what I want to connect with. This way I'm still giving it the hands or like claws or whatever that OpenClaw has, like still has browser actions and all that other stuff, but I know exactly what it's allowed to do and what it isn't. And because I'm building it myself, I can make sure that the API calls and token costs and all that shit is under control. I can keep costs in a headlock and it doesn't cost me a couple $100 a month to actually run the thing. But yeah, at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you the template to do this all yourself. So with that, let's dig in and I'll show you exactly what to do. Before we go any further, I think it's important for me to say that I'm not dogging OpenClaw or its creator or even the people that use it, right? Because this is undeniably genius level engineering, and the guy Peter that built it is doing God's work. He just really wanted to access Claude code from anywhere essentially, and then he's giving that away for free. But like every great invention, you know, it can be used for the powers of evil. But like let's just dig into this a little bit, right? Even the subtext says clears your inbox, sends emails, manages your calendar, checks you in for flights. Like it actually does stuff. But like for day-to-day tasks, you do not need access to Claude code. Look at all these integrations, which, you know, granted are pretty cool. WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, all that stuff. You don't need all of that. You just want it to like do simple things for you. I put this into Notebook LM and we'll see what kind of infographic it comes up with. Oh, there you go, OpenClaw bad. That's not what I'm getting at. What makes OpenClaw so cool is it actually takes action for you, remembers a little bit about you and the actions that you're taking as you're using it. This is great. It stores it in markdown files and really develops a comprehensive understanding of you as the user. The other thing that is like fantastic that a lot of different AI agents and assistants weren't really able to do up until now was heartbeats, where so he reaches out to you, either checks in every half an hour or on a schedule or on a certain amount of time after something happens, which is fantastic. That's what you need, is something proactive, and that's what makes it feel more like a partner and rather than just like an operations sort of layer. And the adapters, the integrations are fantastic. It's really comprehensive. It can reach out and talk to you through Slack, through Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Chat, whatever it is you need. But for real, we don't need 17 or whatever different integrations. We just need the one. And lastly, the skills marketplace. You can teach your OpenClaw agent to do different things by downloading files that others have uploaded, which is great until you realize that this is open to the public. And there have already been a few instances where people put malicious, like virus type software on the skills platform, hiding it like it's something useful, and people have downloaded it and been compromised because of that. And because we're giving this so much information and so much access to our personal files and whatnot, that's super dangerous. So while OpenClaw is awesome, and I think it is actually, despite the Notebook LM framing it like it's the bad guy, I do think that there are some areas to improve, and I would much rather start with control over what I give it access to and build out tools as I need it. And also there's some things you can add to the memory so that it's a little bit more reliable and robust. Okay, so what I did is, instead of the markdown files, which are basically just text documents that your AI reads and understands, is we're gonna go with Postgres and like an actual SQL database and give it access to my Notion account. It's got full context and it's really organized that way as well. Heartbeats, I love the proactive messaging. I don't love the set timer. So what I did instead of like the 30-minute cron or 1 hour cron is I had it based on emails that I get, or watching my Google Drive folder, or if there's a task that I'm supposed to deliver and I'm getting close to the deadline or it's overdue. I do it based on that rather than the rigid schedules, because I would much rather have it based on what I'm actually doing than pulling my attention away every 30 minutes. It seems a little bit more productive. The other thing is I just kept it locked to Telegram, only the one provider, because I don't need Slack, I don't need Discord, I don't need any of that stuff. I just wanted it all in one place that I can access and we know exactly where it lives. And lastly, to teach it how to do things instead of the marketplace, right? Instead of having a lot of different integrations and then adding more, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start and build out integrations that we need. Add the tools that you use in isolation so you know they're safe and you know it's not a bunch of extra stuff, okay? And this can expand with your usage. And the nice thing that you'll see here in a bit is you can also tie it into other other custom tools that you make for yourself. How do we do this? What are we talking about? The open part of OpenClaw means that it's completely open source. So you can actually download this entire thing from GitHub, which is what I did. I recommend you go down here, download as a zip, and we're just gonna use this as a framework, like inspiration for what it is that we're building out. We've downloaded our OpenClaw source code. We can put it into Antigravity here, and then we're just gonna talk to our agent, our coding assistant, and have it use OpenClaw as kind of a scaffolding for what we wanna do. Honestly, that's all I did. I just had a conversation with my coding agent about how do we build out something like this, but secure. We wanna start from scratch using this infrastructure and overall end goal, but with our own tools. Ask it to interview you on what it is you actually want it to do. What I did to help myself kind of like wrangle what sort of functionality I wanted was I pulled in my old N8N workflows, right? So even like my personal assistant from a while ago, I had an agent structure where there was an orchestrator and it would call a bunch of sub-agents, which is exactly what we want to do with OpenClaw. Tie it into my email, my Drive, my CRM, my contacts, Notion, all sorts of stuff, right? So I pulled this JSON in, copied it, pasted it over into Antigravity, so that it knew kind of what I was working with already. And then I added the stuff that I wanted from OpenClaw that I didn't already have, right? So I wanted perplexity search, I wanted web browsers, and I wanted it to be able to like send me screenshots and take web actions, which was something that was really difficult to do in N8N otherwise. So we just made sure that we were adding that all in and, you know, working with the Telegram bot as we went so that it was actually really robust by the time we got it all sorted out. Another big one was I'm a huge Notion guy. I've got most of my life and, you know, a lot of context about me and my goals and all sorts of stuff in Notion already. So I wanted to make sure that this had full access to my main Notion database essentially, so it could learn a lot about me, it could log things, and we could make sure that we're like keeping track of journal and everything I do in a day, which is in fact quite a bit like the markdown memory. I'm just expanding on that. So I've got session and thread memory going through Supabase and like Postgres, and then I've got like, you know, extended documentation and things that we could look up, but we don't necessarily want to pull into context every time because the token cost would be just like absurd. That's all in Notion that we can look up at a later date, right? So if I wanted to look back, what did I do February 18th? It can look back in my journal at what I did on February 18th rather than like scouring through these markdown documents and like session logs that can, you know, drag on forever. The other thing I wanted to talk about is token cost. A lot of folks started using OpenClaw with their Claude Max subscription just to save on API calls, right? But now that's not allowed. You are not allowed to use your OAuth for OpenClaw. It'll get your Claude account banned. But if you do the math on API calls, even moderate use is going to be a couple $100s a month to operate this thing. I didn't want that for myself, especially when the functionality that I need can be brought to me in a lot less expensive sort of a fashion. Instead of using Claude Opus 4.6 for everything, I had conditional model routing. I'm using Haiku 4.5 for like the everyday daily driver, like the orchestration and quick back and forth. Then I'm using Sonnet 4.6 for multi-step tasks. And I still have Opus 4.6 for like really in-depth stuff like coding or pulling together like lead magnets and doing some sort of like generation, that kind of thing. Quick math, this will cost me $11 a month to operate as opposed to OpenClaw's $350, give or take, for my usage. And the cherry on top, and why I really wanted to get my hands on this and know exactly what was going on, I can use my OpenClone with custom apps that I build out for myself. So for example, this productivity hack that I used kind of taking my Notion gamification into another level of existence. I'm going to build out this as a Telegram app that I can associate with my bot and just have everything all tied in together. Right? I've got my stats, I've got everything here because I need this, and accountability for guys like me with ADHD is super important. The point of all this isn't don't use OpenClaw or OpenClaw is bad or anything like that. It's awesome. It is. And the spirit of this is actually really inspiring. What I'm talking about is the difference between a suit off the rack and something tailored to you, right? This is a fantastic jumping off point as you can see what is possible. Going in and building solutions to your own problems, solving the things that are bothering you specifically is definitely going to yield better results. So like I promised off the top, I put together a set of instructions to act as a template for you to build this out for yourself. So you can download this markdown file and the agent will interview you about what it is you actually use, and then it'll walk you through how to put those connections together. Click the link in the description. It'll be here in my school community. You can get it for yourself. So honestly, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot easier than you think it would be. And be sure to sub because I'm going to be putting out videos on how to build out your own apps like the one we talked about in this video. I'll see you in the next one.